Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be having a short update on what is now Hurricane Elsa. We'll be talking about a couple small updates on Elsa for right now. So we're going to get started with the watch warning advisory display here. So this is what's going on right now with the watches and warnings. There's a couple things going on. Number one, heat wave trying to unfortunately build it back up again across parts of the western United States. That is not a good thing. We also have severe thunderstorm watches and warnings for parts of the northeastern United States, even for parts of the Midwest and southeastern Montana. And then we get to Elsa here, and you can see here, we actually do have hurricane warnings right in here. Might be hard to see, but that's hurricane warnings right there of what I've highlighted in pink. Let me get a different color here. It just got updated right there. But it's right here. That's where you have your hurricane warnings. Elsa is now a weak Category 1 hurricane. It ain't too bad. But you do have tropical storm warnings that go into parts of southeastern Georgia. This also goes along the western Florida coastline. We even got tropical storm watches that goes along the South Carolina and North Carolina coastline there. Even a couple tropical storm warnings there as well. And we're going to see if this could hold it straight for a low-end tropical storm for parts of the Carolinas here. Looking like it could be a strong tropical depression. And then afterwards, we may have to watch for the potential for impacts for parts of the northeastern east coastline. There's some models that actually do bring it kind of low, close to the coastline, like the European model shows. It might be a tropical storm when it gets up there. So that's going to be interesting to watch as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the National Hurricane Center outlook here. You can see right again we have Hurricane Elsa, 75-mile-per-hour winds, with a minimal central pressure of 996 millibars. So it's now under 1,000 millibars, and it's slowly gaining strength. It is fighting with some wind shear right now, which we'll take a look at the uh, higher resolution loop in a moment. But let's check out a couple things here. Like number one, let's check out the forecast cone, and you can see here. Let me get a different color here, where you do have hurricane warnings in effect for parts of western Florida. So your hurricane Elsa is about right here. It'll be making landfall sometime Wednesday morning tomorrow. Into parts somewhere in northwest central Florida. Somewhere along there is where it's going to be making landfall. Eventually it's going to move up into southeastern Georgia tomorrow night. And then by Thursday, it'll be in the Carolinas at that point. And we're going to see if it's going to be able to maintain a tropical storm for those areas as well. But right now, we're currently forecasting a strong tropical depression. But when it gets back over those waters there by late Thursday night into early Friday morning, it might become back into a tropical storm. And you can see how this forecast cone does go through parts of the East Coast, which the European model is the further northwest model right now. Actually bringing it just skimming along the coastline, which actually could be a tropical storm. Something to keep an eye on up there for the northeastern United States there as well. It's not just Florida or Georgia or the Carolinas. It's even along the East Coast. That's a watch for this system as well. We're going to take a look at a couple more things on here, like the rainfall potential. And that's going to be another big threat from this system here. And you can see here, probably most of your rainfalls could be probably just south of the Tampa area, where there could be isolated spots of 6+ inches of rain, which is a possibility there. There's also another area of 4 to 6 inches of rain for parts of north central Florida to far southeastern Georgia. And then you got this widespread 2 to 4 inches, which isn't that bad. But there could be some isolated higher amounts of some of these places in here if some of those storms do trade in there as well. So flash flooding may not be too big of an issue from the system. It's really just the wind and possibility for some tornadoes, which we'll take a look at the SPC outlook in a moment. There's also going to be some storm surge as well. That's going to be another big concern, especially for the Tampa Bay area, where there could be 3 to 5 feet of storm surge. That's going to be a pretty big issue. There's also going to be 3 to 5 feet storm surge anywhere from the Osceola River, goes all the way down past Tampa Bay, all the way down to Inglewood, Florida. Then you got 2 to 4 feet from Inglewood down to Bonteca Beach, and then you got 1 to 3 feet all the way down to Flamingo, 2 to 4 feet from the Ochalockonee River. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, to the Auxilia River, and then 1 to 2 feet back into the Indian Pass there. There's also another area that might get to see a little bit of storm surge, and that's actually for parts of the Georgia and South Carolina coastline, anywhere from the mouth of the St. Mary's River all the way up into South Santee River in South Carolina could see the possibility for 1 to 2 feet of storm surge. Which, if this does maintain a tropical storm, that storm surge, which won't be too impactful, will go all the way up into parts of South Carolina and North Carolina, maybe up into along the East Coast. But that there's some uncertainties up there for right now. The track of that system up there for right now. I don't think there's anything else on here. Well, let's actually take a look to the SPC outlook very quickly. So this is for the rest of today. We do have the slight risk for severe weather for parts of most of southern Florida there. The primary threat's going to be tornadoes. You actually have that slight risk for parts of the Midwest and also for southern Montana as well. And that small marginal risk for parts of the northeastern United States, which they have experienced a decent amount of severe weather up there today. Then moving on to day 2, you got that marginal risk for severe weather for parts of northern Florida. I won't be too surprised if that gets upgraded to a slight risk. I think that's a decent possibility there, mainly for tornadoes. And that also expands all the way up into southeastern Georgia and eventually to parts of South Carolina as well. And then moving on to day 3, you got that marginal risk anywhere from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way up into Virginia Beach, Virginia, which also goes right through eastern North Carolina as well. The primary threat is going to be tornadoes. There will be isolated tornadoes out there, and that's what typically tropical systems do. So let's take a look at satellite imagery here. Let's actually let this load for a little bit. And you're going to notice a couple things on here while this loads. You're going to notice some wind shear on the northwest side. That's what's really holding off a little bit on the intensification. If we do not have any wind shear, it'll probably already be a moderate Category 1 hurricane right now. But since we do have a little bit of wind shear, you can kind of see there on the northwest side, you got winds kind of moving to the northeast, but at the same time, you got winds a little bit more to the southeast there. So there is a little bit of wind shear, but it isn't terribly strong there. That's kind of making it some of that convection to be misplaced. But actually right now, it's actually got quite a bit of convection around the main circulation. So this thing here may be good to go for intensification here just before landfall here. So this might get a little bit stronger overnight. I don't think it won't get that much stronger. It's currently 75 mile per hour winds. I think it might get as high as 80 miles per hour, maybe 85, but that's probably going to be at the max. But wind shear is really fighting this thing. And that's what's causing it to keep the intensification down a little bit. Your circulation right now, I believe it's somewhere like right here right now. And it looks like some of that convection is moving out of the main circulation for right now. So that may actually pause the intensification just a little bit there as well. There is a little bit of dry air out there, but it isn't that bad out there. Not as bad as the last video here. The dry air isn't as bad. So yeah, on that. Let's take a look into the aircraft recon planes here. These are the hurricane hunters that goes through tropical systems, and it gives some very valuable data out of these storms. I haven't really shown this to the channel so far this year, so this is the first time this year we're going to be looking at it. And so this is what we got right now. So it seems like it's got a pressure of 1,000 to 2 millibars. That's a little bit high. That's higher than what the National Hurricane Center has it, but I think they did find pressure a little bit lower. But check out where some of the strongest winds are. It's actually on the eastern side there. And those are winds between 64 to 83 knots. That's really a moderate to strong tropical storm to a low end Category 1 hurricane, which I believe it has measured winds of a low end Category 1 hurricane, so that's how it got upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane. But 1,002 millibars there, that's a little bit lower than the last run. We'll see what it picks up next when it goes through the center circulation again. We'll see if it drops or anything like that. So we'll back up here. So currently it's moving. Your plane right now is right here as of right now. And I think it might go back into the storm. We'll see about that. But let's check out some models here. So we'll take a look at the hurricane models first. So this is the latest 0Z run, and we got a really good agreement here now. Starting to get a little bit better agreement here. So it's going to be making landfall again somewhere in the northwest central part of Florida. And it's going to go through southeast central Georgia, then central South Carolina, east central North Carolina, southeastern Virginia. It was kind of almost skins along the east coast of the northeast United States. That can bring some impacts for areas along the east coast. That could bring in some rip currents, maybe a little bit of storm surge. That can also bring some heavy rainfall and maybe some wind up there as well. So those areas there definitely need to monitor the system as well. We'll check out the intensity guidance here from the hurricane models, and you can see here with that very low-end Category 1 hurricane, it'll likely die down. It seems like the majority of models do keep it in a low-end tropical storm strength, probably throughout the Carolinas there. And you can see here, it seems like it calms down a little bit more after that, and I think it's going to eventually gain some strength when it kind of gets back over the waters. That's the current forecast for right now, but I want to take this as a grain of salt. The models have not done that well with the intensity guidance, but they done well with the tracks, but they haven't really done good with the intensity. So I think that's pretty much it here, but let's take a look at my Tropical System Impact Index forecast here. So the biggest change on the forecast here is the upgrade to a level 3 because of those hurricane impacts. It's also the same time the storm surge, which I know it doesn't really go into this thing, but the storm surge can also cause major issues, especially around the Tampa area, like the National Weather Service, I believe at Tampa, was talking about potentially major flooding issues out there. So I've expanded that down to Tampa as a level 3 out of 5, which I believe they're in a hurricane warning as well. So they can see some major impacts down there. And it's for not too much of a small area. So it includes places like Tampa, Cedar Key, Spring Hill. Uh, looks like probably about as far north as Fish Creek or Amphion there. And then you got that level 2 out of 5, which includes really from the Florida Keys, which eventually those areas will get downgraded to a level 1 likely later tonight. And tomorrow, those guys will probably be out of the risk here. Similar situation from Miami. But this level 2 out of 5 does include Fort Myers, Naples, Orlando, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, and also for Savannah, Georgia as well. And then you got that level 1 out of 5, which is minor impacts, which I'll show you guys the legend in just a moment. Got that level 1 out of 5, that includes places like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all the way up to just close to Daytona Beach. It's pretty close. It also includes Panama City. I think I have that a little bit too far to the west there. But it also includes Augusta, Georgia, or that's South Carolina. Okay, Augusta, Georgia. Okay, Charleston, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Florence, Columbia, Raleigh, Wilmington, Virginia Beach, Norfolk. Goes all the way up along the East Coast. So Atlantic City, maybe parts of Long Island, Boston, Rhode Island, Eastern Connecticut, all the way up along the East Coast to Bar Harbor in Maine in a level 1 out of 5, which is minor impacts, which it isn't bad, which let me show you guys the legend here. So the minor impacts, 1 to 4 inches of rain, tropical depression winds, and 2% chance of tornadoes in SPC standards. And then the places in that level 2 could possibly see 4 to 8 inches of rain, but it's primary for tropical storm winds, and that chance for tornadoes. That's your primary threats, then the rain. But the areas in the level 3, your primary threat is actually going to be the winds, then the rain, and the chance for tornadoes. That's going to be the primary threat. But some of those places could see 1 to 4 inches of rain, maybe some isolated higher spots, and that 5% chance of tornadoes in that level 3 zone as well. Keep in mind, you do not need all 3 things to get to the level. It could be one of those top levels for like level 3, for example. They could see category 1 winds. I mean, that fits into the category, so they get the upgrade to level 3. The places for level 2, primarily threat is going to be tropical storm winds and 5% chance of tornadoes. And level 1 is all threats will be on the table. 1 to 4 inches of rain, tropical depression winds, and that 2% chance of tornadoes. And here's your strength probabilities. It's currently a category 1 hurricane that might strengthen just a little bit more before landfall, possibly up to 80 miles per hour. But category 2 hurricane and beyond is very unlikely, a 0% chance. It's not going to happen. But probably when it makes landfall here, uh, the category 1 percentage would go down 0%, but the tropical depression and that tropical storm strength will probably stay at 100%. Since it'll be going back over the northwestern Atlantic along the east coast and strengthen, may gain a little bit of strength up there as well. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys got questions about this, you put in the comment section down below. I heard you guys questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.